Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, my name is Suradesyanti and in this presentation I will be presenting some material from the book by Douglas Robinson, Becoming a Translator, and then the second book from Mona Baker, In Other Words. And then let's just get started to the first book by Douglas Robinson. So, first of all, who are the translators? Well, translators are usually multilingual individuals with the strong reading, writing, and cultural skills. But being fluent in multiple languages isn't enough. A good translator needs to understand the deeper meaning behind the words, including the tone, context, and even cultural implication. And according to Robinson, there are three internal requirements that every translator should have. There are professional pride, income, and enjoyment. So let's take a closer look at each of these. The first is professional pride. So professional pride is basically the sense of satisfaction that comes from doing a job well. Translators take pride in getting the details right, finding the right words, choosing the correct spelling, or matching the appropriate tone. And there are three key areas where professional pride comes into play. The first is reliability, involvement in the profession, and the third is ethics. And let's see. First is reliability. A good translator is someone who delivers accurate and high quality work on time. And for involvement in the profession, many translators join professional organizations, attend workshops, and continuously learn new skills to stay updated. And then for the ethics, translators sometimes face ethical dilemmas, such as whether to translate sensitive political content or work for a company they disagree with. They also need to decide what kind of work they want to take on and under what conditions. And then, yeah, that's the three key aspect of professional pride. And then the next is income. Income, yeah. So let's be real. Many translators feel they don't earn enough. Since the job is often underpaid or undervalued, the translator needs to find ways to increase their income. Some strategies include translating faster and and improving efficiency, and also starting a translation agency. And the third is educating clients about the value of high quality translation. But income isn't the only thing that matters actually. Enjoyment plays a huge role in translation quality. If a translators love their job, they'll be more careful, reliable, and efficient. But on the other hand, if they find the work boring and exhausting, even a skilled translator might become sloppy. So, finding a balance between passion and financial stability is very important. And then next is the process of translation. So, how does the translation actually work? According to Charles Sanders Peirce, the translation process happens in three steps. The first is instinct. So at first, the translator rely on their natural language intuition. This means that they take in instinctive choice about words and meanings. And then the next step is experience. So over time, as they translate more text, they develop a deeper understanding of meaning and context. And then next, the habit. And eventually, translation becomes second nature, allowing them to work more efficiently. So this explains why beginner translators take much longer than the experienced one. It's all about practice, exposure, and refining skills over time. And then next, we move to the book by Mona Baker, In Other Words. So So now let's talk about collocations. So collocation refers to words that naturally go together. So some words combinations sounds right while the others don't, even if the meaning is similar. For example, we say break the law, not contradict the law. We also say pay a visit, not make a visit, even though it might still be understandable. And we also say run should butter but add luck eggs, even though both means rotten. And then some collocations are logical, but others are completely arbitrary, and that's what makes translation a bit tricky. And then next we move to collocational range and markedness. So first we'll talk about collocational range first. It is actually refers to how many different words a certain word can combine with. For example, the verb run, it has a broad range, so we can combine it with many other words. For example, run a business, run wild, run a favor, run campaign. And then on the other hand, we have a verb shrug, and it has a limited range, and it's mostly used with the word shoulder. So if we combine it, it becomes shrug shoulders. Yeah, something like that. And then we move to mark collocations. It is unusual word combination that create an impact. For example, normally we say war breaks out, but sometimes we might say peace break out for dramatic effects. And then challenges in translating collocations. And one of the biggest challenges in translation is interference from the source language. For example, in English, we say shoe repairs is the correct phrase, but in French, the translator might mistakenly use uh, this. I don't know how to say it, French, instead of the other one, which means resoling shoes. And this happens when translators follow the structure of the source language too closely, making the translation sounds unnatural. And then next is idioms and fixed expression. First, idioms are phrases whose meanings can't be understood from the individual words. For example, the idioms "it's raining cats and dogs," which means heavy rain, but literally it doesn't make sense. So, next is fixed expression. It is a common set of phrases, for example, like "as a matter of fact," "ladies and gentlemen," and etc. And then next is challenges in translating idioms. So idioms are tricky because they don't always have a direct equivalence in other languages. For example, in English, we say carry goes to Newcastle, which means doing something unnecessary. But in French, the equivalent idiom is this. You can see it in the screen, which means carry water to the river, and translators often need to adapt the idioms to match the target language. And then we move to some strategies for translating idioms. The first is we could find an equivalent idiom in the target language. For example, the rain falls on the just and the unjust. In French, you can read in your screen because I don't know how to speak French. And then the second is use a similar meaning with different words. For example, in English we say very much at home. In Chinese we say this, which means totally at ease. And then the third is paraphrase if no equivalent exists. For example, if we for idiom pull someone's leg, so instead of literal translation, we just explained it as trick someone as a joke. So we just explain the real meaning of the idiom. And then the last strategy is borrow the idiom if it makes sense in the target language. So if the idiom is generally known by Most people would just put the idiom there without do any changes. And then, yeah, I think that's all for me. Thank you for listening. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.